Afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Black Army Radio episode, whatever this is, around 10 something. Hey, if you like this, if you like what we're doing, this alternative information, like give us a like, give us a follow, share it with somebody. It's on YouTube, Spotify, some other platforms, wherever you're getting it. This alternative media thing I think is kind of important these days. And so if if you think we're worth a shit at all, give us a follow, give us a send, give us a like, share it with somebody. And so, how you doing today, Joel? What's happening?
Oh, not too bad, man. Good day. Decided to trim the face. My face hasn't seen the sun in probably 4 years. I've had some sort of facial hair, so feeling a little naked, but we'll get through it, I think.
For
And
those of
another
you
thing
that,
of all, go ahead.
yeah, for those of you that may not know, Joel has officially taken 7 years. He's officially dropped his age by 7 years by fully shaving his face, which I may or may not agree with based on how my face looks. Also, I want to say something else, Joel, and I'm not sure how I feel about this. I noticed that the elk tooth you have far exceeds the elk tooth that I'm wearing, and your Swartz
No,
is quite frankly much bigger than my Swartz, and I'm not sure how I feel about that right now.
this was from a elk me and my dad harvested together, so there's some significance to it. I mean, elk teeth are like gold to me, so
They're
um,
ivory, bro.
yeah,
The molars are ivory. A lot of people that don't know
it,
out there. So we did not plan this shit like this. So this one that I'm wearing is from the first elk I ever killed when I was young, when I was like, I don't know, 13 or something, whatever it was. And so my dad dug out the back molar and gave it to me, and we made a necklace out of it, and I still have it. And so yours is substantial.
Yeah, it was from a big 5 point my dad, and it was the first time I was with my dad when he killed an elk. Like I've gone hunting with him before, but it was the first time we got a big bull together. And it was probably about 200 yards away, and I spotted it first, and I go, "Dad, look at that buck." And he had an elk tag, so he's like, "Yeah, whatever." And he goes, "That's not a fucking buck, man." And he smoked it. And then we had a bunch of guys with us who got lost. So it was just me and him packing this elk out. And the quarter weighed as much as me at the time. So I did everything I could to get it out of the fucking woods. But yeah.
That's
And
hilarious, man.
one more thing talking about like the likes and comments and telling people to follow. And for the people out there where we don't want this to sound like a left wing or a right wing podcast. There'll be some talking points that echo from either side, but the whole point of this is um, to get rid of some of those labels and some of those things that keep us divided. And instead of looking at policy from a left wing or right wing Democrat, but looking at what's best for the American people. So when you get offended about something we say or don't like, just listen, try to get through the whole podcast, because I think if you um, listen to it with an open mind and some discernment, maybe we could help change a perspective or just let you know that there's more to it than meets the eye most times. So one last
Absolutely.
thing, I guess.
Another good way of putting that, like my dad used to say, is just don't be a one-way lizard.
Yep.
Like
Yep.
we have a tendency to fall on camps, man, and then like we will
Yeah.
fall on the sword and die for that camp, right or wrong, right? And like breaking free of that is as freeing as it gets, ladies and gentlemen. So I would highly recommend some independent thinking and problem solving based on reason, which is what our country is based on. Reason. Okay. That's
Well,
what it's really based on.
and I
It's not
think,
based on religion or anything else. It's based on reason and independent thought and reasonableness. Mhm.
and it's okay to speak out against your camp. And talking about speaking out against the camp with the new like Charlie Kirk information that came out, and he was kind of speaking out against Israel and the Epstein files, and he magically got assassinated, and some with new evidence that came out today, what Tide probably has a little more about. It's pretty
Yeah.
interesting
So,
stuff.
dude, just to give everybody kind of a quick thing. So that's brand new for this. And so it's Monday. What is it? Monday? Yeah, it's Monday. And this just came out in the last few hours. But so we're going to talk about the Charlie Kirk information that just came out. We're going to talk about the new ground invasion information that's coming out. The fact that the Rangers and the SEALs are officially on the scene, which means shit is getting real for sure. We'll go into that. Steve Bannon The fact that Israel said that they will not invade with ground troops if America does into Iran. Just basically Iraq 2.0 right there. Israel and Lebanon, and a kind of a comparison analysis between Iran, Israel, and U.S. killed in the Middle East, and also civilian infrastructure and stuff. But basically, like the newest news that just came out before we get into the ground invasion stuff, which is kind of like the meat and potatoes of this operation right now tonight, is Charlie. So the bullet, and this is straight from the court, and there's multiple news agencies now reporting this. And I kind of sat on it for a second until I saw multiple outlets talking about it. The bullet that the court has for Charlie Kirk's death does not match the 30-06 turn bolt rifle. I think it was a turn bolt, right?
Yeah.
That what was it? What was his name? Tyler Robinson? Might be
Tyler
saying that
Robinson,
wrong.
yeah.
Yep, that he had. And so I'll say that again. And this is after Joe Kent, right, resigns uh, for his super prominent, like presidentially appointed position, which was like the highest position that anybody had ever just like formally resigned from like that in protest, saying on Tucker Carlson and Sean Ryan and other news outlets, independent news outlets, that that they were cut off from their investigation, and they were investigating foreign entities into the assassination, into the killing, right? And the obvious implication there, right or wrong, is Israel. And once again, I'll say this for all of you people out there can't wait to drop the anti-Semite word. We're talking about a state, not a religion. Israel is a state, not a religion. We can talk about England or France or Spain or Germany or Iceland or Norway or Denmark or Greenland or Mexico or Argentina or Iran or even the United States. We can talk tons of shit about the United States. And so Israel is a country, is a state, just like all those other states. And so, based on kind of what Joe Kent was saying, there seemed to be some there. You know what I mean? And so we'll get into this other stuff. But what do you think about that, Joel?
From the beginning, I thought it was all fishy. I mean, um, just from how it happened with the bolt action rifle that he was able to take a bullet off, it was already, sighted in. It was all ready to go. And if you shoot a rifle a bunch and you're taking a bullet off, unless it's I mean, there's some guns that are made to be
I think
taken
it was
apart.
totally disassembled, wasn't it? Wasn't the barrel
Yeah,
off and everything? Like when they
yeah.
found it, it was, yeah, which is weird because
Well,
we're talking about a hunting rifle. We're not talking about AR-15.
yeah,
For those of you out there, when you're doing like surveillance, counter surveillance, reconnaissance, counter reconnaissance, like this kind of stuff, a lot of the times you go like overt to covert. And overt basically means like in plain clothes, walking around, and then you'll change out and go to covert. And guys will break down their ARs and stuff and put them in their rucks or their packs or whatever. And then like you can do that really, really quick and put it back together. But it's very, very unusual for like a standard 30-06 Woodstock hunting rifle to be broken down like that.
yeah. AR-15, you got a few pins to pop out, and then you're taking off the lower from the upper. With the standard bolt action, you need tools. Normally, those barrels are torqued on really hard too. So if you don't have a vise, typically, like you're going to be putting that thing between your legs, trying to loosen up the barrel. It's not easy work. And just from outside of that, like I think it was all too convenient for one. They could make him a martyr as far as him dying, and you see some of the stuff with how his wife handled it afterwards. She has a lot of ties to weird things from her pageant history, like her beauty pageant history with Donald Trump. She also ran a or helped like do an orphanage in Romania that there's speculation was involved with or child trafficking. Um,
There's like a
so
weird Epstein connection they're talking about too, which is strange, I guess, with that as well. Yeah.
and just how that's happened, how her wife happened, how his wife has acted afterwards, and just for some people in the me and Ty talked about this a little bit. Like I wasn't on the Charlie Kirk train. I thought when he was on campus debating people, I thought he did really good at humanizing debates, treating people with respect, and I appreciate his style. But it's just like any left wing or right wing podcaster, when you get a group of people who all think the same, he said some pretty inflammatory shit that I don't think anyone deserves to get killed for. And it turns out that maybe it wasn't somebody who was mad at him for saying inflammatory shit. Maybe it was a foreign government, and our in government has helped covering that up. That's all speculation right now, but it seems real convenient. And
Hey, how
um,
long did it take Netanyahu to come out and give us basically a speech about his death?
like it
30
happened
minutes?
immediately. Yeah, it's like 30 minutes afterwards.
It's like 30 minutes after his death, Netanyahu was on fucking television with like a announcement. This is pretty quick, man. He's like
Well, and there was a bunch of
represents
hits.
Israel,
So like
not the United States. It's just like weird.
you could get hits and see where like cell phones are registered and what they're looking up stuff. And this information was deleted shortly after they pulled this up. But there was a cell phone at the White House looking up Tyler Robinson the day before the murder, and there's a couple hits that went back and forth where why would you be looking up somebody in Utah a day before a murder has no relevance to like it's just too weird. And then all of a sudden that stuff was deleted as soon as that guy posted a video about it. It's deleted, and that stuff has happened with the Epstein files where something gets let out and then all of a sudden, you got to save it and have receipts because then it's deleted. And then these people get accused of spreading fake news and stuff, but
Dude,
they're
what about all these scientists that are disappearing?
yeah, you had the UFO scientist who just
Dude, this is
disappeared.
weird. These guys are like hyper. We were talking about was it David Greer or Stephen Greer's Single Point Energy documentary? I know I dicked up the name and then I
You did,
corrected it.
yeah, you messed it up. I ain't gonna remember it.
Greer,
Damn it.
Mr. Greer. And these scientists that are getting kidnapped and disappearing are like working on projects like that. Remember that guy, the MIT guy? He was a younger guy. He was like 38. He was fucking killed, like in a
Yeah.
place that has zero murder like rates at all where he was at. And somebody came into him, just smoked him, didn't rob him, didn't take anything. And now these other scientists are just disappearing off the street, bro.
Right. It's
Like
weird,
we're in a
man.
weird time, dude. We're in like a Twilight Zone, freaking upside down, like Skynet. Like,
Well, and
so much
what's
weird shit going on right now, man.
and what's scary now, and I'm not saying the media was better 5 years ago by any means. Corporate media has been corporate media since corporate media has been corporate media, and as long as they're giving money to politicians, they're gonna be able to sway whatever they wanna do and work together with the politicians. But, like, now all major media is owned by conservative base, like, people, and
Well,
not
Murdoch,
saying
Murdoch owns like Wall Street. Not only does he own Robert Murdoch,
mhm,
not and he's wildly for the Iran war,
yeah.
wildly for the endless support of Israel. And he owns like the Wall Street Journal, Fox News. God, I'm missing like 10 different media outlets. He's
Well
wildly, I think he owns more mainstream media outlets, I think, than any other like human.
Well, and it's David Edelson and his son, and we've talked about this in past podcasts, but they're the ones who bought up Paramount, CNN, CBS, and all these reporters. Well, good or I don't like a reporter who wants to slant something, but there's a lot of people in the last year that were prominent people who spoke out against Trump who are no longer like working for CBS or anything like that, and it's just the same thing with the culture, like, and I'm fully aware of the left's cancel culture, and it's not something I'm on board with either. But like
Mhm.
the not the funny thing, but the irony of Charlie Kirk getting killed, seeing all these people cancel people or fire people for speaking, and some of the stuff they said was grossly inflammatory, and I don't agree with. I'm not going to celebrate someone's death, um, but I watching the cancel culture of that, and that's something Charlie Kirk would have stood against. He was all about freedom of speech, even if he didn't like what you were saying. He wouldn't want anybody to get fired. He wouldn't want
Yep,
anybody to lose their jobs. I mean,
100%.
he he often talked about freedom of speech, and that's what I enjoyed about him, you know. And I got slightly
Yeah, he has
hesitant
0
when,
Ben Shapiro. He had 0 Ben Shapiro in him, man. He
yeah,
had 0
100%.
hypocrisy. Really did.
Well,
That's
and
I mean, like I said, right or wrong about whether or not you ever agreed with the guy, and, like, I had, like, agreements and disagreements, like, "Hey, we're not fucking machines." Like, we're allowed like, we're not this is the thing, like, this is the battlefield of ideas, homie. That's what America
right,
is. It was built on, the battlefield of ideas. You know what I'm saying? Like, literally, the First Amendment and the freedom of speech is important literally to protect the people that you don't agree with speech.
yeah.
Because eventually, your speech isn't gonna be agreed with, and it will need to be protected. Like
I think that what people need to remember in America, one of the best things in America was that we created laws that protected people to be different.
yep.
And when someone comes in and thinks differently than you, and then they create a law because of that, that's because of ideology. That's not because of anything else outside of ideology. The left is guilty of this and the right is guilty of this, you know? And
Yep.
when you start getting in this murky water that we've gotten into the last 10, 15 years with social stuff, you know, it's divisive and it divides our country.
It's like Pam Bondi coming out and bragging about curtailing anti-Semitism, air fingers quote, anti-Semitism, what on Harvard
Yeah.
campus, and it's just basically people gathering and being like, "Yeah, we don't, like, agree with the death of 20,000 children, like,
Yeah.
kids." And they're like, "You anti-Semite!
Yep. And that
You
and that's the
you
whole.
hater of Israel!" And it's like, "Yeah, we're" I don't know, I think there's a human element you're missing there a little bit, and hey, if I mean, like, if you just, you know, if you wanna be a killing machine out there, that's fine, like, that's the thing about America, right? Like, you can have these opinions, that's the point. That's the goddamn
Right.
entire point. You wanna worship Satan in the town square? As long as you're not individually threatening an individual or destroying property, you can do that legally, right? It's like that's what this entire civilization was built on, was the
Well,
battlefield of ideas.
and I think the hard thing is like that gets lost in nationalism and what you think your idea of nationalism is, you know, when it's your to your country, to your religion, you know, and people, I think the hardest thing with America is people have different ideas of what America is. The America flag means a lot of different things to different people. If you're oppressed or you're Native American, you're not going to see the American flag as some dude who got land from the Homestead Act and his family's been on 400 acres his whole life and doesn't have to not doesn't have to do anything, he's working that land, but you're gonna see it totally differently when you're stuck on a reservation that is corrupt from the top down, and you have to deal with, you know, you're not gonna have the same vision of what America is, and I don't think
Oh, yeah.
people,
Dude, my yeah. You're 100% right.
it's
My mom was an emergency room nurse. She was an ER nurse in Shiprock, New Mexico for the Navajo reservation. Man, those poor people down there, dude, like, you talk about resentment and, like, just being caught in the worst possible, like,
well,
scenario ever.
and it's
Fuck.
resentment, and it's one of those things where it's just like any other form of government is like, if they're corrupt at the top, that's why the reservations are fucked up, you know, like most of the reservations, the guy who's runs that reservation is living in a real nice house, has a nice car, is living the American dream, and the people down in the actual res are getting fucked, you know?
Kinda
And
like that
it's
trading that might have took place right before Trump talked about the
yeah.
end of the
Oh,
war, and there was, like, the biggest trade in the history of fucking trades where
yeah.
somebody made, like, $1 billion in 30 seconds
It
on
wa
that trade.
and,
It's like,
and that's
"Huh, I
gone
wonder how they knew that information. That's really
that's
strange."
that's gone on
Kinda
every
like how
time he
Nancy
said
Pelosi has a better
something.
trading record than Warren Buffett.
Yeah, for real, dude. And I think the biggest thing with all of that is, like, we need to get money out of fucking politics until, as a country, we take a stand and say, like, "No, we need to get rid of Citizens United. We need to get rid of media pandering to our politicians and our politicians pandering to media." Like, none of this stuff is helping. It's spreading ideologies. It's not spreading a message of the American dream. It's
Well, I'll
giving
tell you what, there's nothing more glaring than this war when it comes to the restriction of mainstream media. Because
yeah,
here's the thing, since the beginning of our fucking podcast, few weeks ago, whatever. We've been saying shit where we've been getting called out by people here and there. Like, how the fuck would you know? Like, how do you know that? How do you know that all of our bases are destroyed? How do you know Israel is getting crushed right now? Right? How do you know that Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, and Iran are running like quad attacks on the state? How do you know that Israel is incarcerating people that are putting out Facebook posts showing the destruction? And it's like, international media. You can do it yourself. Like, I'm not beaming up a fucking, like, I don't have a satellite beaming information into my brain like a cyborg. And like, this information is available to everybody. If you want to find it, you can find it. It's not real hard. But we haven't been wrong, dude, on anything we've been talking about at all. And it's all proving to be more and more correct the further and further along the line we go. Like, all of those refueling tankers, they were all destroyed. Seven refueling tankers destroyed. American soldiers, Navy, Marines living in hotels. Why? Because the military bases have been annihilated in Dubai, UAE, Iraq. Iraq is getting pounded. You know what I'm saying? Like, Iraq is getting crushed. We have military bases in Iraq. It's right up by Iran. It's real easy for those guys to hit the Iraqi bases. Pummeled, destroyed. American soldiers living in hotels with civilians, making those civilians a military target, because guess what? If you're a military in uniform, you're a fucking target. You get put in a hotel with a bunch of civilians, that hotel is now a target. It's a legitimate target for a strike. Whether it's an assault, whether it's a missile, doesn't fucking matter. And if there's civilians in there, like, they're at risk. You know what I'm saying? And so, dude, it's just, we haven't been wrong about that. And it's been like, it's slowly starting to trickle out. You know what I mean? Like, all that information about, like, last night, Israel had maybe the worst night that they've had since the beginning of this war. Hezbollah has joined. The Houthis have joined. Hamas has already obviously joined, and Iran. And for those of you that may not know, there's people out there that don't know, Hezbollah's in Lebanon. It's in the north. The Houthis are in Yemen. It's in the south. What separates Israel from Yemen is Saudi Arabia, okay, which is a pretty large state. However, there's cells everywhere, and they can also use various, like, aquatic transportation devices such as a boat and get up there towards the Gaza Strip and launch fucking missiles into Israel. And so last night, you had Hezbollah, Iran, and the Houthis, all of them trifecta, bombing Israel, and the Iron Dome is fucking failing. And they're getting hammered right now. And so with that being said, and like I said, we've been talking about that since the very beginning of the war on this podcast. And it's true. It's fucking true. Like it or not. And we're not here to say whether we like it or not. It doesn't matter. It's the fucking truth. We're here to tell you the truth. If the truth bothers you, then fucking go watch something else or listen to something else. But that's what we're trying to do here. That's what we're really trying to do. And so the ground invasion. So Trump is weighing a massive military operation to get 1,000 pounds. It's 1,000 pounds is what he's asking for of uranium. Okay. And in order to do this, U.S. forces would have to go deep. I'm not talking about the Strait of Hormuz. I'm not talking about the islands. What's that island?
Karg
Island, right? Which is, you'd have to go through a choke point in the Strait of Hormuz to even get to Karg Island. I don't even see Marines even getting to Karg Island. But, I mean, who knows? Because all of our carriers and everything is so far off right now because they know they're going to get hit with missiles. If they did this, if they're going to go in there to extract this 1,000 pounds of uranium, this whole thing this is a pretty serious operation, man. It would take, I mean, they're saying days, but they always say, like, this is a 2-week operation. This is a 2-week operation, 3-week operation at the most. And now they've already said, Pete Hegseth or whatever came out today and said, expect another 4 to 6 weeks. Expect another 4 to 6 weeks, right? And so there's specialized teams out there. For those of you that may not know, so if they do this, if they try to get this uranium, they're going to have to use, so the Department of Energy is basically in charge of America's nuclear stockpiles. Okay. There's dudes out there that are called the nuclear couriers. And for people that are in the know, the nuclear couriers is like one of the best kept secrets of it's not a law enforcement agency. You know what I mean? They're like a protective, their whole job is to kind of protect the nuclear scientists and the nuclear material as it travels across the country or internationally, or the humans or whatever. These dudes are former, almost exclusively tier 1 dudes, tier 2 dudes. The process, I applied for these guys years and years and years and years and years ago, and I didn't end up going that route. But their NDOC is no bullshit. It is very, very, very difficult NDOC to get into. It's real hard. Okay. And the guys that make it, they're traveling all the time. They make great money, but it's a legitimate thing. And so we just said that the SEALs and the Rangers are officially in country. You can Google it. It's actually on pretty much it's not the international news media thing. Like, you can find this on your standardized mainstream media. Just fucking Google it. Okay. So the Rangers are there and the SEALs are there. Okay. Also, the Rangers almost exclusively, and this is a side note, work with CAG, Combat Applications Group Delta. Okay. So if the Rangers are there, more than likely there's a CAG element there, and they're just not saying that they're there. All right. Generally speaking, how it works is like A Squadron works with 1st Ranger Battalion, B Squadron works with 2nd Ranger Battalion. I worked with B Squadron almost primarily, when I would deploy with the Rangers. C Squadron works with 3rd Ranger Battalion, and that's pretty much how it works. Outside of RRD, Regimental Reconnaissance Detachment, which is the Rangers Tier 1 outfit, which they're probably there too. So the whole deal here is, and we talked about this in the last podcast, when they did Operation Midnight Hammer, they sent in massive amount of bunker busters and missiles to destroy their nuclear facilities, right? Like, that was the whole thing. We destroyed their nuclear capabilities. We don't need to do anything else. It was a 12-day war, right? And it's over, And in the last episode we talked about, we're like, what were these guys going to do? If you go like the airborne operations, and we said, check out Band of Brothers, check out World War II. So here's the thing. If the SEALs and the Rangers, and I don't think that they're dealing with the islands, I don't think they're dealing with an invasion. I don't think they're dealing with Karg Island. I think that's like a regular Army, regular Marine duty. I think the Marines that are floating there and showing up are going to be probably trying to deal with that shit. The Rangers and the SEALs, more than likely, and it hasn't happened yet. It may be happening right now as we're talking about this, but as far as we know, it hasn't happened yet. What I think they're going to have to do, because this is right dead center, dead nuts Iran. It's not going to be through an invasion. They're not going to take fucking 60s or little birds, and they're not going to fly into this and fast rope into this shit. They're going to have to jump into it. It's right in the middle of Iran. So if the Department of Energy is using their people, and I would imagine if they have to pull out a whole bunch of uranium, these are probably not, I'm not saying it's the nuclear courier guys, obviously going in there and doing that. This is the security guys. But what the Rangers and the SEALs are going to do is they're probably going to jump in. More than likely, it'll be a static line jump. A halo jump would be a lot more difficult. You're going to need a lot of dudes. They're going to jump in. They're going to have to secure some kind of blocking position, some kind of perimeter. Okay? Because you're going to have to, in order to dig out that uranium that's under tons and tons of rock, dirt, rubble, all kinds of shit, you're going to have to secure some kind of perimeter so those guys can do their job. You know what I'm saying? We used to do this. So back when I was serving, we used to do this for the Air Force pararescue jumpers. This is just a little example of kind of what I'm talking about. So Ranger Battalion would provide security for the Air Force pararescue. And Air Force pararescue, like, they're kind of the best kept secret in special operations. I always tell people this. I'm like, if you have a kid and they wanted to get into special operations, send them to the PJs. They get all the best schools, blah, blah, tons of stuff. I won't get into it, but our job in Ranger Battalion was to protect those guys so they could do their fucking job, which was basically, they're pretty much the premier search and rescue organization in the fucking world. That's what the PJs are. Okay. And so we would go in and we would infill somewhere where a SAR was taking place, search and rescue, or something else, medical related or rescue related. And the Rangers would secure a perimeter. or blocking positions, right? And then the PJs would insert so they could do their medical stuff, do their SARS stuff, and then exfil. And as soon as they exfil, then we would exfil. You know what I mean? And so I see something like that real similar here. I see some, but not maybe, Department of Energy, whatever. There are guys out there for sure that are trained up on being able to do this exact same thing that we're talking about. Like find uranium, know what it is, pull it out, do it safely, all that kind of shit. What I see is the Rangers and SEALs jumping in, securing a perimeter. Those guys come in, do their job, they exfil, then the Rangers and SEALs exfil somehow. Also, secondarily, they're going to have to secure an airfield. That's the only way they're getting out of there.
Yeah, you got to fly it out.
Yeah, they got to secure an airfield. That's the second. So the primary problem is getting in that motherfucker, securing it without getting shot completely to shit and blown to hell. Before the DOE guys, not even saying they're DOE, I'm just saying that based on my experience, come in there and find the uranium or whatever they need to do for the extensive amount of time that they're going to take to do it. How are they not going to use equipment?
Well, I mean, I have a lot of questions. Do you know if enriched uranium has to be handled differently than just like yellow cake chunks of uranium?
So supposedly, that's a good question. So supposedly they're looking for, if you think about if you dive, if you've ever, if you're a PADI certified diver or like a military, you went to scuba school, whatever it is. Like if you think about those air tanks, that's basically what they're looking for. So the stuff that they're looking for supposedly is contained in like manageably sized tanks. Or if you're like a welder, like the oxygen and acetylene tanks, which are usually about maybe 5 feet tall, right? And so they're looking for stuff like that. Apparently, the uranium is in tanks like that based on their intel. Okay. And so lots of problems with this shit. I mean, dude, it would be under fire for sure. There's the 82nd probably isn't going to be, I don't know. I mean, they may be involved in like a mass, like I almost feel like the 82nd would be like on a QRF, on it, like a quick reaction force. That's what I see. I think the Rangers and the SEALs go in. They do their best to secure the perimeter. It takes whatever. Maybe the 82nd jumps in afterwards. And then, depending on how it's going, dude, how long is it going to? And when I say equipment, like loaders, like you're talking about like Tracos, front end loaders, like there is so much fucking debris that they're going to have to get through to find this tanked uranium. Then they're going to have to secure an airfield. Then they're going to have to land aircraft to exfil these fucking Rangers, SEALs, DOE guys, and the uranium, bro. Meanwhile, the Iranians, who have over 1 million dudes on standby, who are absolutely, like we said, don't watch American mainstream media. Don't watch Western liberal mainstream media. Please watch international. Like, if you are really, really watching what's going on over there, you understand that Iran is literally in the pole position right now. They're in the pole position. They're basically dictating terms. It's not Trump dictating terms. Trump makes it sound like he's dictating terms when he's talking on Fox News and Pete Hegseth and Caroline Levitt and like all these people, but they're fucking not, man. Iran is absolutely dictating terms right now. And you're just think, do they not know where their uranium is?
Well, and Trump has openly talked about like seizing their uranium too. So of course they're going to be sitting there ready for it. And I think anything that's proven throughout this war is every time we took a step or did a bombing, it's been a miscalculation on our end, you know? And I also think the scary fact of all this is we're just like the idea of a regime change works when the people feel like you saved them from an oppressor. We bombed churches, we bombed schools. The first day of the war, we bombed a fucking school. We are making these people hate us. So when there is a regime change, just like we did in the past with Iran, the idea that we're going to get something better or more pro-Israel there's no point, you know?
I got a
Like,
question for
what are
you.
we doing?
I got a question for you. So when Biden was president, and I'm not loyal to Biden, I assume you're not loyal to Biden.
No.
Let's say If the Chinese drop fucking paratroopers over the United States of America, would you fight for America if Biden was president?
Yeah, if there
Yeah, you would,
was,
right?
yeah.
That's what the fucking Iranians are doing right now. Do you think that, I mean, the Iran, so here's the deal with this. There has been, and here's the thing, there hasn't been one school hit. We got the numbers today. There's been between 500 and 600 schools that have been destroyed. 500 and 600 people. Okay. We haven't been wrong yet. All right. Medical facilities. How many medical facilities have been hit? 300. So there's been 500 to 600 schools, 300 medical facilities. Also, on top of that, there was a sports facility like a rec center, YMCA. These are just people in there working out, literally throwing weights around, listening to fucking rock music. We smoked one of those places. We killed 21 people in there. It's like, dude, we're taking a page. And here's the thing. When I was serving in Iraq and Afghanistan, man, we were real careful about civilian shit. I mean, like, comparatively speaking. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I have a lot of regrets from my time in service for civilian stuff that happened, but it was nothing like Gaza. And it's nothing like what we're seeing right now in Iran either. You know what I
Well,
mean?
and I think this goes back to this administration. You know, when Hegseth took over the um, Department of War, he talked about making it so his soldiers could fight and not have to worry about being their hands held behind their back because of laws and things like that, you know. And next thing you know, we're bombing fucking ships coming out of Venezuela. Not ships, we're bombing fucking boats out of Venezuela without any. We're
Mhm.
shooting people who survived on those boats so they don't have a chance to say, like, hey, maybe I wasn't a drug dealer. And there's, yeah, I'm not saying they weren't moving drugs, but they weren't drugs that were coming to America if they
Not
were
compared to
moving them.
Mexico.
Yeah,
Not compared to
and
Mexico.
that's the
Now,
whole, and China has a big deal with the fentanyl too. That's, I mean, to make fentanyl, people are getting all the stuff from China, all the chemicals to make it as well.
mhm.
And it's just going to show like there's things like the Geneva Convention for a reason. Like we created laws so like we weren't bombing schools, we weren't killing children, we weren't
Dude,
bombing
that's what you would,
hospitals.
yeah, dude, that's what
You
we
know?
always hear for the Gaza shit was like, well, World War II, World War II, World War II, World War II.
Yep.
And it's like, hey, what stemmed from World War II?
Yeah.
That,
Well, yep.
like the Geneva Convention, rules of war, like what after Vietnam, like white sulfurous,
Yeah.
Agent Orange, after World War One, fucking mustard gas. It's like, yeah, we have structured stuff around some of that stuff to be like, that's not acceptable, especially for the civilian population. And so to be like, well, we did that shit in World War II fucking 100 years ago, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, yeah, also, asshole, since you don't want to fucking bring this up, there was also a lot of fucking talk and a lot of stuff that was written after that to make sure that shit never fucking happened again. Carpet bombing entire civilian populations where you killed hundreds of thousands of civilians with purpose didn't happen again. You know
Right.
what I mean? And to pretend like that's not the case is just outright fucking ignorant, man. Also, so here I'm gonna play this little video here about the invasion. So this is a gal named Crystal Ball. They're from the show Talking Points. If you don't listen to Talking Points, I highly recommend it. This is a great American news outlet that is wildly more accurate than Fox News, CNN, or any of these other mainstream media outlets. So here we go.
For U.S. military officers and experts. The potential operation, which would likely trigger retaliation from Iran, could also lengthen the war well beyond the 4 to 6 week time frame Trump's team has publicly outlined. So here's what would happen. Teams of U.S. forces would need to fly to the sites, likely under fire from Iranian surface to air missiles and drones. Once on site, combat troops would need to secure perimeters so that engineers with excavating equipment could search through debris and check for mines and booby traps. The extraction of the material would likely need to be conducted by an elite special operations team. That was what Sagar was speaking to, specially trained to remove radioactive material from a conflict zone. The highly enriched uranium is likely contained in 40 to 50 special cylinders that resemble scuba tanks. They would need to be put into transportation casks to protect against accidents. That's the other aspect of all of this, is potential nuclear fallout. That could fill several trucks, said an expert on this. Unless an airfield was available, a makeshift airfield would need to be set up to bring equipment in and take the nuclear material out. The entire operation would take days or even a week to complete. This is not like going in and snatching the Doro and getting out. This would take, you have to set up a makeshift airfield, secure a perimeter, go in under fire, send your team in with excavators, find this material, load it on trucks, get it onto these aircraft and get it out, again, under fire. It says U.S. troops could avoid such a dangerous operation if Iran agreed to hand over its uranium as part of a peace settlement. But, doesn't look like we're headed in that direction whatsoever. Like the type of peace settlement that was on the table before we decided to launch this absolutely insane and disastrous war.
Yeah, dude, that's exactly what I'm talking about. And it's like that woman has probably zero military experience, training, anything other than being probably an excellent journalist. And she's 100% right. She's 100% right, dude. You would have, you were balls deep in Iran at that point. Like this isn't Iwo Jima. This isn't a fucking like a Saving Private Ryan situation where you're storming Normandy and then you're moving in. Like these guys are going to be jumping into a hornet's nest, dude, and like securing how much intel are they even really going to have on this stuff? I mean, it is pretty unknown what's in those mountains. And hey, if you haven't, get on Google Earth and look at Iran, people. Get on Google Earth and look at Iran and see how big of a shit show that entire the geography of this war is going to be. Like I said, it's like when I said in these other shows, like Afghanistan, we were doing patrols in like 9,000 feet, 2 feet of snow, in aspen trees and pine trees. Like it was like being in the Rocky fucking Mountains. You know what I mean?
And that's when we had working bases and stuff, like every base on that side of the map that we have has been bombed, and that's why our soldiers are staying in fucking hotels and shit, because like our bases are inoperable. We just had to pull a big one of the fleet ships out. What was it, Ford? Which ship did we pull out because of maintenance?
Oh, it was the carrier, but I don't think it was under. I think I'm hearing more reports that it was like a drone attack, but they were saying like a laundry fire. Shit, I can't remember, but it's like a 2-year repair. It's a 2-year repair on that motherfucker.
Because wasn't there a problem with the Navy had a ship that they were having a problem with the sewage? Like they were having toilet.
That was the same ship.
I'm wondering how, because this is being reported so weird, I'm wondering if it was a drone attack and they don't want to come out with it, or if it's actually American soldiers sabotaging it because they're like, this is fucking retarded and I don't want to fight this war. Is that a possibility? I mean, you're somebody who's been in that sphere, like
there has been numerous reports. So remember we had that episode about how all that military leadership was invoking like the second coming of Christ, or if you were Jewish, like the first coming of the Messiah, right? You got to fucking blow the Dome of the Rock off the foundation stone so you can rebuild the temple for the third time, and like all this Christian Zionism shit. Dude, that's like, I don't think I've ever seen so many reports in my life of military defections. There's been a shit ton of reports within the Marine Corps, within the Army, within the Navy, of massive amounts of dudes that are basically requesting not to deploy. And in my war that I deployed to, like whether I was in the military or whether I was privately contracting, like I don't think there was any point in time where I ever saw dudes that were trying to get out of a deployment. If anything, guys were trying it like hell to make sure, even if they were injured, to make sure they were deploying. You know what I mean? Like guys were trying like hell not to be on what was called rear detachment. Like if you couldn't deploy, usually it was because of an injury or you had to go to a school or something. But guys wanted to deploy, man. And guys joined the military to fucking fight, like during the war. You know what I'm saying? They didn't join the military to go to a fucking school. Like they joined the military to fight. That's why they fucking joined in GWAT. They didn't go to military to go. They didn't fucking do it to go to some weird school or some shit and miss a deployment. Like the deployment was what fucking mattered, not the school. you know? But it's like I don't see that shit. I didn't see that shit hardly at all when I was serving. It's pretty wild to see how many defections there are, you know?
That's just something that I've been speculating about, if that's something that was like kind of
I
sabotage
think
from soldiers or
I
it's a
think it was
drone strike.
probably yeah, it might have been sabotage, but I also think that there's a high possibility that they were hit because they were really, really close too. And we've kept all of our naval carriers and ships and everything way the fuck back, which is
Right.
making me really, really wonder about this Carg Island thing. Maybe the 82nd Airborne is going to jump into Carg Island, you know? Like maybe that's what they're going to do. They're a conventional airborne unit. Like we know kind of like where they're going to be and stuff when it comes to the Rangers and the SEALs and CAG and like PJs. That stuff's going to be way more hush hush than the 82nd, you know, or the Marines. And so it's just hard to say right now. But we got
Do
50,000
they
motherfuckers on standby.
do they have any nuclear
50,000 dudes
facilities
down
on
there right
Karg?
now. What's that?
Do you know if they have any nuclear facilities on Karg Island, or is it just strictly? And then, yeah, that goes
No, I
against
don't
the
think so.
whole.
I think it's all energy infrastructure related, like oil,
Right.
natural gas. That was kind of the big thing, right? When Trump, when we bombed it, they were like, we bombed all the military facilities off of it, all the like military encampments and infrastructure off of it, but we fucking kept the energy infrastructure. They kept that.
Right.
They didn't bomb that part. You know, which is interesting, which also really, really quick side note, Israel bombed all the shit that we said we weren't going to bomb in this 5 or 10 day absence. Like the energy stuff, the power stuff, the fucking water stuff. Israel just bombed all that shit literally in the last 24 hours. While Trump's like, we're going to go from 5 days. We're negotiating. They don't want to negotiate, but we're negotiating. The war is over, but it's not over. We're going to go from 5 days to 10 days because I'm a nice fucking guy. That's what a decision I'm making. Meanwhile, Israel, who fucking runs the United States, apparently, has been hitting all that shit that we said we weren't going to hit, and Trump can't fucking stop him from doing it. He fucking can't stop them from doing it because they're doing it anyway.
Well, yeah, we need to keep the dog on the leash, and the sad fact is, if we got out of there, they wouldn't be able to fight back, you know. And we're like you said, if there's a ground invasion, Israel has literally said they're not going to have their troops go, so it's going to be our American soldiers on the ground, and Israel is going to stand pat and sit back, and you know, and
Dude,
personally, I don't want
Israel,
anyone.
yeah, they don't want to have anything to do with fighting anybody that's not women and children. Like I'm so fucking done with this state, man. I don't even give a fuck anymore. You want to call me an anti-Semite? Call me it 1,000 fucking times. I don't care. It means dick to me at this point. I don't fucking care. What happened in
Well,
Iraq? In 2002, Benjamin Netanyahu testified in front of Congress about weapons of mass destruction, Saddam Hussein, nuclear fucking weapons. You know who didn't deploy with us while 50 other countries deployed with us? Fucking Israel. Not a single goddamn Israeli soldier put boot to ass with us in fucking Iraq or Afghanistan for that matter. And on top of that, now we're staging a shit. We got 50,000 dudes ready to fucking invade, jump in, go through whatever it's going to be for this Iran bullshit. And Israel today, in the last 24 hours, did what they fucking do because they don't want to fight anybody that's not women and children. They said they're not fucking invading with us, that they will not put boots on the ground in Iran while they invade Lebanon and kill hundreds, if not thousands, of women and children in fucking neighborhoods.
Well, and the thing what's going to happen from this, and we've talked about this in the past, is there's going to be this huge immigration problem, and then there's going to be this big right-wing movement that's anti-immigration, and this is mostly for Europe. We see some of this, very small bits of it, but comparative to Europe, you know, and it's like we wonder why these terrorist cells pop up and people want to fucking go against this type of system, because what would happen if we left these people alone, you know? Like, and I'm not saying there can't be something done with a nuclear deal. Iran hasn't bombed anybody outside of terrorist cells that they fund. They haven't
Hey,
been.
who else has ballistic missiles, intercontinental ballistic missiles, and nuclear weapons that we don't fuck with, is a way worse actor than fucking Iran? North
Like
Korea,
Pakistan,
Russia,
North Korea,
Pakistan.
you know? Yeah.
I mean,
and
people have
that's
even put India in that category. Some people will. It's like, dude, North Korea is literally sets the fucking standard for that shit.
well,
And it's like,
and
we don't touch them at all. And all we were like, Iran this, Middle East that, Middle East this. And it's like, dude, they don't have intercontinental ballistic missiles. They don't have fucking nuclear weapons. They've signed multiple fucking treaties, unlike Israel, that doesn't let anybody come expect their nuclear weapons, that doesn't even admit they have fucking nuclear weapons, which is entirely, totally, and 100% fucking illegal. And if I was Iran, I'd want fucking nuclear weapons too at this point. Because you know what we don't do? We don't fuck with countries with nuclear weapons.
I
At
mean,
all. Period.
Pakistan is a big funder and like trainer of these radical Islamic groups, you know, and they set up in Pakistan and get pushed out, you know, and we don't ever question that. And those Islamic groups are typically causing more damage than Hezbollah or Hamas or these other groups, you know. And like just go, I know you had some facts on like the death rate of um like America, Israel, and Iran's proxies, like all together, you know. And I think that's a real curious thing because I'm not for somebody going and strapping a bomb to their chest and blowing somebody up anywhere. Like I'm not saying like they're not killing people and their terrorism is like a made up fucking thing. But when you look at the facts, you know, like it is a manufactured fear a little bit, you know,
Oh, yeah.
and we've been
Like Iran
brainwashed to
is,
think that way.
Iran's old school terrorism. You know what I mean? Like IRA style terrorism. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not industrial, right? And it's not industrial killing. And so I went back and looked at a bunch of numbers because I was so sick of hearing this. Like, we've been at war with Iran for 40 years and they fucking kill everybody all the time and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, yeah, they do some killing for sure. And they're not like awesome. It's not an awesome state. We're not here defending fucking Iran, but we're goddamn America first fucking people, period, the end. And so we're questioning what the fucking logic is with this bullshit. And so in order to question what the logic with this bullshit, we need to understand the totality of circumstances surrounding the event. Okay. And the event has been taking place for decades. All right. Iran versus US versus Israel killed. Iran, if you do like the total numbers between like the Iraq war, various other deals, you know, like the Marine barracks and some of their proxies, whether you're talking about Hezbollah and, you know, the Houthis and stuff, they're right around like a 2,000, maybe a little bit more killed. Okay. Basically since 2001. This is pretty much since 2001. Now that's a substantial amount of people. It's like a 9/11 kind of number, right? But over multiple decades. The United States, in that exact same amount of time, has killed well over 1 million people in the same region. Over 1 million motherfuckers in the same region. Just the United States. Okay. So let's just say Iran's killed 5,000, which is thousands more than what's given to them basically on any search that you could do, any investigation you can do. The United States has killed well over 1 million people, and we don't even fucking live in the Middle East. We are, I remember flying over to that war and being like, God damn, it takes a long time to get here. What the fuck do these people, why do they hate us so much? We're so far away. I was like, I couldn't like understand it, dude. I was like, if I was living in New Mexico and I was like a Navajo, you know what I mean? I would understand it a lot more. You know what I mean? Like a terrorist attack in the United States. Like it was really hard for me to understand like people that were it takes fucking forever to get over there. Forever. You know what I mean?
Well,
and you're like, what is the connection here? And then if you think about Israel, really quick, hold your thought. If you think about Israel since Gaza, because Israel's hard to lay down these numbers for. It's really hard with Israel because they don't join the wars that we do. Like we kill industrially, right? And Israel has no desire to go against like actual soldiers or like fortified positions. They just don't. They go soft targets. That's what Israel does. They're a soft target outfit, especially when it comes to their like on the ground people. And it's like really with them, you can say 75,000 people since the October 7th fucking, you know, incident that took place, which was horrible. And it's like 75,000 with 20,000 plus kids in Gaza, not even including the thousands and thousands they've killed in Lebanon, which are primarily Christian. Hey, Christians out there, Christians, hello, Christians, American Christians. If you're a Christian, do you have a problem with Christians just getting killed on an industrial scale? Because that's what they're doing in Lebanon. They're killing
Well,
Christians on
there's
an
a
industrial scale in Lebanon. They've already killed more fucking people in Lebanon than Iran has killed since 2001, basically to now, outside of Iran. You know what I mean?
well,
Just like
let's talk.
outside of Iran. I'm not talking about like their protesters and shit like that. And those numbers are highly disputed. Like you can't, just like our media, we can't trust anybody's fucking media on that stuff. But
Well, just like the October 7 attacks, and that was blamed by Hamas, which is an Iran
there
proxy.
was a big stand
There,
down order. There was a stand down order.
well, there was a stand-down order, and with that attack, which was gross because there was a bunch of women and children who died, it was
Yep.
1,200 people, you know,
Yep.
and then their retaliation was to carpet bomb Gaza. And like Ty said, that's 75,000 people. And if America did anything, it would be keeping Israel on a leash and telling Iran, like, hey, if you do some stuff like this, we're going to do some shadow operations and take out these terrorist cells, which we are very capable of doing. And there wouldn't be these amounts of lives lost and more pinpoint stuff, you know? And it's kind of like Joe Kent said. He's like, yeah, if a terrorist cell attacks us, let's go get them. You
Yep.
know, but like
Yeah,
declaiming
and I agree with
war,
that 100%. Yeah.
declaiming
I'm not
war
like
on Iran.
I may come off as like super duper, like no war, no matter what. That's not how I fucking feel. I think we need to consolidate our resources a lot and
Yeah.
defend the homeland. You know what I mean? Like that's what I believe. I think we should have an extremely affordable military and a form of military that's highly trained, highly funded, highly resourced, with tons of equipment and technology. But I think it should be fucking here and defending the
Well,
homeland. You know what I mean?
and having a presence in the Middle East, but not getting in like Afghanistan, Iraq. These are fucking money pits. Since GWAT started, like our debt has just fucking climbed and hasn't stopped under either Republican or Democrat. It hasn't stopped, and I think like the um it's just never ending until we find resources, until we use our resources in America. Like this is going to continue to happen. This is $2 billion a day.
Yep.
And if we're not going to war, we're still middling there. We still have this huge presence there. And now we have a presence there where all our bases are destroyed. So anything we've built in the last 20 years to keep that region under control, now we know how long to have the infrastructure. So the cost of this war afterwards, because we're going to go do the same thing and say we need to have a presence there, we have to rebuild all this shit now. So
Dude, I
not
don't
only are we
think they're going to
spending,
let us. I don't
yeah,
think
no,
Bahrain, Dubai, like we fucking lied to them about why those bases were there. We guaranteed them security to have bases there. Guaranteed them security. And the very first thing we did was what? We pulled all of our fucking interceptors and weapon systems and everything over to Israel, and we fucking abandoned it. And then we let those bases get destroyed, and we let Bahrain and Dubai and the UAE and the Arab Emirates and like Saudi Arabia and all these other places and Iraq, all of our bases and embassies just get fucking hosed. Like
well,
if I was a
eh,
king of goddamn Dubai, I'd be like, hey, go fuck yourself. You're not putting a fucking base here. You're not rebuilding your base. You're fucking liars. You're pieces of shit. This is a multipolar world. It's not a unipolar world anymore. In other words, there's multiple superpowers, not just you anymore. And we don't owe you fucking shit. I don't think we're going to be able to put our bases back there, bro. I really don't.
no,
I don't think they're going to let us.
I mean, yeah,
Which is billions of dollars just down the drain. Like I said, we have like 300 plus, not even including CIA black sites. You know, if you just talk about military bases, you're talking about like 200, 300 bases, blah, blah, blah. We have military CIA black sites all over the fucking world, dude. And all of this shit costs billions of dollars, like per base to run, to do all this stuff. We're fucking everywhere. In 2001, remember when I talked about like what the national debt was before 9/11? It was sub $5 trillion or whatever. It was like $3.5, $4 trillion. And then like right when GWAT and through that, we went up to like 30 fucking trillion dollars. Just boom, just like that, just because of GWAT. And then we fucking abandon everything. We lose both fucking wars, like politically, not militarily, politically. And here we are again, doing this fucking shit all over again.
well, and because of our ties in that side of the country, like there's been 3 Amazon data centers that got bombed. Who's going to ask to pay to rebuild those data centers or get compensation? It's going to be these corporations who have money ties there, and they're going to be asking our government to pay back what happened, you know? And that's the whole, and two, just like pretty soon this starts affecting banking and like other things. These data centers aren't just for fucking Facebook, you know, they're running massive amount of stuff, you know, and there's like the hacking stuff is just starting, I think. You know, Kash Patel's email just got hacked, and is pretty comical when you see the people trolling Kash with some
Dude,
of the
fuck
videos and
Kash
stuff he had.
Patel.
Oh, I
Fuck
know.
Dan Bongino. Fuck Pam Bondi. God, I love Tulsi Gabbard, dude. Fucking.
Yeah,
I
it
even hate saying
sucks,
fuck
man.
Tulsi Gabbard because I have a lot of faith that she can like come out of this somehow. I mean, I just here. Okay, so Trump came out the other day, yesterday, and he's like, "You want to know what we're gonna do? Listen to Mark Levin. Listen to Mark Levin on Fox News. He's done this a few times. Mark Levin. This is another dude. Like, so I'm gonna play what Trump wanted us to listen to. And this is important because we just had, like I said, a bunch of Rangers and SEALs, which are tier 1, tier 2 dudes. Like it's the only tier 1 outfits out there are basically like, you know, developmental group, CAG, RRD, you know, everybody else in a lot of ways is pretty much fucking tier 2 for special operations. But anyway, this is what Mark Levin had to say on advice from Donald Trump saying, listen to him and you'll know things. And so here it is.
Troops on the ground. He said no troops on the ground. I don't remember that in any campaign speech either. But why would we need troops on the ground? Well, there's a lot of reasons, and we wouldn't need 300,000 of them. It's this uranium, too. We've got to get the uranium. If it cannot be destroyed, if it cannot be altered, we got to get it. For the reason I just said, you can make dirty bombs, and over time you can still make sophisticated missiles. So you need to get to the uranium. That's why I'm reading in the paper, we're talking about the 82nd Airborne, we're talking about these various special forces and the various military services and so forth. He's not talking about sending regular army and infantry in by the hundreds of thousands. The men he's talking about, the units he's talking about, they are specialized. And you know what else? I remember from my days in the Reagan administration, many of them are trained for a moment like this to try and secure enriched uranium. Many have been trained for moments like this.
Well, first of all, there's 50,000 motherfuckers there. So there is a shit ton of conventional dudes. Second of all, the 82nd is a big Army unit. No disrespect to the 82nd Airborne. Dudes do a fucking great job. They're a conventional Army unit. Okay. This is, I mean, you know what's funny about Mark Levin and guys like him and Ben Shapiro's and all these neocons is they were all anti-Trumpers. Every single one of them. Like in 2016, when he got up there and he looked at Jeb Bush and he's like, fuck your brother. And he's like, fuck all these wars. And we're not fucking it. And he literally just said that Trump didn't say that we wouldn't put boots on the ground. He fucking said that shit. We have played clips repeatedly of Trump saying no war in the Middle East, no more boots on the ground in the Middle East at all. No more money, no more blood, no more anything. Mark Levin was one of the most anti-Trump motherfuckers in existence, just like Ben Shapiro. It's like, I don't get it, dude. All the people that got that motherfucker into office, like the Marjorie Taylor Greens, you know, the Thomas Masseys, the real America first kinds of people, the people that are like reinvest in the American project financially and militarily. And it's like, he has swallowed hook, line, and sinker the Lindsey Grahams, who was a never Trumper. Lindsey Graham was a never Trumper. And it's like, these are his boys, bro. Like, all of these guys are his fucking boys now. And he's shitting on everybody else, and all these fucking MAGA people out there that are just sucking them off left and right and unable to see the forest through the trees and realizing that he's fucking he's been playing you this whole goddamn time, apparently. Like, what the fuck is he doing?
Well, and look at all these people on his cabinet who fucking Rubio, J.D. Vance, Tulsi Gabbard, all these people who ran against him. And I get that's politics, but that's what's wrong with fucking politics.
Dude, Tulsi
is like
Gabbard
those,
was a huge supporter of his, just like Joe Kent was, because they
Yeah.
believed in what he was saying.
Not the first time he ran though. Like before
No.
she got before she
Well,
got
she was
eaten
a
alive by
Democrat,
the
right? She was
yeah.
in the Democratic
Before
Party.
she got eaten alive by the Democrats, she was not for Trump. And that's JD Vance, Rubio, all those guys talked mad shit about Trump, you know? And that's why I hate the RNC and the DNC. Because like I think even if people had good intentions, you have to sell out or you get eaten alive, you know? And this is what it turns into, you know, until we're able to get money out of politics, like this is a game we're gonna be playing.
Yeah, man. That stuff, it's like hearing Lindsey Graham just say, you know, if we had another Iwo Jima, like, big deal.
Yeah. What the fuck, man?
You know, hey, you know who's of age now is Ben Shapiro, dude. He's younger than 42. He should fucking enlist,
Yeah.
right? He's super into it.
Yep.
Super
see him
duper into it. He's out there promoting now, basically saying that. And you know what's hilarious about these guys at the very beginning? So here in Operation Midnight Hammer, we were all called fucking retards. Why? Because we said it's not going to end there. It's not going to end there. And then we were all retarded. They said we were all idiots, right? The Ben Shapiros, all of these super duper Israel first people. And then at the beginning of this of the second of the second hit, which is going on right now, like it's going to take a week. There's no boots on the ground. There's no anything. We're not going to lose people. And now, because we were like, yeah, that's bullshit. There's going to be now these same motherfuckers for the third time in the last 6 months are calling us idiots for calling the exact thing that's happening. And now you have Ben Shapiro saying that there's no way we can get out of this. We have to do it. We have to invade. We must invade. Hey, Ben Shapiro, what is he, like 5 foot nothing, 100 and nothing? Yeah. It's like, hey, dude,
There's
you can pass the
video
tape
of
test.
him getting.
You can probably run a few miles.
There's a
Get
video
your
of
fucking
him
ass in
getting.
there, homeboy. Stack some bodies, Benny. Let's see it. Let's see what you got, bud. You're really good behind a microphone talking shit. So let's see when the rubber meets the road, buddy.
There's a video of him hitting a speed bag and it hitting him back, and it's fucking hilarious to watch. But well, and that's like the same, and it's coming back to kind of where we started with Charlie Kirk. Like I kind of fell off the Charlie Kirk thing when Turning Point USA became this big multimedia collaboration, because these people are paid for their fucking opinions. And as soon as there's money behind what you're saying, and even like I still like Joe Rogan, but when he got on Spotify, like it's when you go from somebody who's making a good living, but we're talking $7 million a year, to signing a $3 billion contract, you're hanging out with a whole different set of people. You're in a different sphere now. And like
I
when
think
you
Rogan
go from
signed
that,
like a $600 million contract, which is still an unbelievable amount of money.
and,
Unbelievable.
and I'm not saying Rogan sold out, but like I get very hesitant.
He's come out hard against the Trump administration.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And and I still listen to Rogan.
I think there's
too.
a lot of people out there like that right now. A lot of people who are unsatisfied with their selection.
Well, Jeff Ongino was talking about, like, he talks about how he was getting paid by people to put out. He's like, I'm getting paid to have an opinion, and now I'm back getting paid to have an opinion. You know, and that's the whole thing, is like that's why politics and money will never get along, because you have a base and someone comes and say like, hey, put me on your show, let's talk about this narrative, and like there's money handoffs, you know, and there's, you know, and it goes for both sides as well. This isn't just a right-wing fucking thing. The core Democrat and the core Republican, as far as from the RNC top down, That's all corporate sponsored money bullshit, you know?
Oh, yeah. Well, you know what's funny is Congress had a chance to backpedal from this, even the Democrats, and they all fucking voted against it.
Nope.
The War
It's the
Powers
same
Act,
thing.
right? Like, let's have a debate and talk about it. There's dress right dress, bro. The Republicans and the Democrats are dress right dress on this shit. They're fucking in lockstep. You know what I'm saying? There's only a few, like Nancy Mace on the right. You know, she's getting better and better and better. Like we talked about Lauren Bird as well. And then you have
There's
like Rand
Khan.
Paul. Fine. And then you have like Thomas Massey. And on the left, you have like even AOC voted for fucking Israel to keep having weapons and to keep doing all their shit. Even AOC, you know what I'm saying? Like outside of Ro Khanna, there's a few Democrats. Who's the that guy that did that filibuster for like 26 hours?
Oh, I know what you're talking
Cory
about.
Booker.
Yeah.
Cory Booker has been trying to backpedal his support of Israel, but he can't help himself. Like he can't commit himself to do it. You know what I mean? And so here you go. You have people like Bill Maher sucking Trump off, saying this is the best war that we could ever fight. Hillary Clinton coming out and saying this is the best foreign policy she could ever fucking enact, even if she was president.
She kind of tried to back off some of that, but it was at kind of the same time other Democrats were. But when she was running in 2016, she was hard for Iran. Like she was a typical neocon when it came to Iran talk, you know, and that's and that's a problem too when you have these parties like Republican and like when you have a house and you have Republicans who have the house or the Democrat has the house, like most of the things are going to get voted because no one wants to vote against their party. And then you have 5 crossovers on either side who eventually get eaten alive by their party because they thought differently, you know?
And you know, the funny thing is it's not just voting against the party, you're really voting against special interest. Because when you have outfits like AIPAC, like they're smart enough. AIPAC has been like, whether you hate them or love them, like they accomplished their mission. Do you know what I'm saying? They accomplished it. It's like they have both parties in their pocket.
Well,
completely.
And if you go out there, there's some good websites. There's a particular AIPAC tracker website, and it's not only AIPAC, it's any other Israel affiliate because there is a couple other donors from there. And then there's also a another one that is shifted. It seems like it's coming from somebody more left, but if you look at how he grades a politician, it's talking about super PACs, AIPAC, and typically how I look when I'm voting for somebody is I look who's putting the money into their campaign. And if they're not at least 80% by people who want them to be there, I am very fucking hesitant.
Really quick. Mary Adelson?
Mm-hmm.
She donated an extensive amount of money to Trump, right? And talked to him about going to a third term.
Yep.
We haven't even brought up the BB tapes.
Yeah.
So there's a new thing that just came out, and like Joel's like rubbing his face right now, like we're an hour and 15 minutes in, and we're gonna have to do another podcast, dude, on this shit because this was just released. There's a documentary out there. It's called the BB tapes. Human people out there, do yourself a favor and look into this shit. It won't take you more than 20 minutes. This is a massive documentary where Bibi Netanyahu is admitting to funding Hamas like $35 million a month. A month. Bro, a month. And then you had Mary Adelson in an interview with Israeli police because Benjamin Netanyahu, for those of you that may not know, is under investigation. He's actually could go to prison in Israel. And one of the main reasons why people think that maybe October 7th was allowed to happen was because it threw Israel into a wartime situation and kept him in power. It's avoided his criminal trial. He's been avoiding his criminal trial in Israel now for like 5+ years, something like that. And Mary Adelson, who's like super duper Israel first, gave Trump like $500 million, something like that.
altogether, she's getting a lot of money. I know that.
I mean, a lot of money. I'm probably off on the, but it's a fucking substantial, hundreds of millions of dollars. And talks about him running for a third term. In the tapes, she literally says that she's going to be fucking killed for saying what she's saying.
Yeah.
Like by Benjamin Netanyahu in those tapes, in that documentary. And the guy that did that documentary, he won't release, like he will not say where he got these tapes from. Now, so I was a federal cop, like I said, for, basically a decade. And every single time you're doing an interrogation or an interview, whether you're doing it in the field, whether it's a field interview, and you're out in the field, you got your taser cam on, right? If you're doing it back in the station or like in a, more of a confined environment, you have cameras with audio. And it's a CYA. It covers your fucking ass. And I used to tell cops this stuff all the time. It's like, dude, you should embrace those fucking videos because it's going to keep you from getting sued. It's going to keep people from lying about you, from how you interacted with them. Like, turn that shit on all the fucking time. If you're a good cop, you have nothing to fucking worry about. It'll cover you. It'll keep you from getting sued. Like, it'll keep you from getting suspended or having anything weird happen. All these tapes in this documentary are from fucking interviews with Benjamin Netanyahu and various other people in the cop shop, in the police station in Israel, from an elevated position with audio. They're obviously interrogation interviews in an interrogation room. Like, they're fucking real. And the stuff that he admits to, and I haven't even seen the documentary yet. I've only seen, like, Tucker Carlson interviewed the guy that did the documentary. And I actually want to really, really quick while I'm doing this, I just want to pull up the guy's name, Alex Gibney. I guess his name was Alex Gibney. And he has 1,000 hours of secret police interrogation videos, 1,000 hours of Benjamin Netanyahu and the people that they interviewed for that criminal case that they're trying to charge him on. And in that investigation, he admits to funding Hamas with intention to basically create an enemy that they can perpetually fight. You know what I mean? $35 million a month, dude, is what he said in that interview. And then there was other people talking about, like, they were scared to get interviewed. They're like, hey, you can't let these tapes get out. Like, don't let these tapes get out with what I'm going to say, or else they'll fucking kill me. And then you talk about Charlie Kirk and you're like, so the 30-06 that killed Charlie Kirk wasn't a 30-06.
Well, and we all know if it was a 30-06, it would have gone straight fucking through him.
Could have taken his head clean off, bro.
Yeah, dude, it's
like we talked about. I mean, that is, like you said, that's an elk killing round from 300 yards through your shoulders, all through and through. Like, it's a serious fucking round.
Well, then you have people like Steve Bannon talking about this war and how we need to stay there and everything else, and like how Steve Bannon is still, he was talking at C-SPAN, or not
CPAC.
C-SPAN, yeah, CPAC, and that's a big conservative group where they talk before, and it's some of CPAC where it's funny in this last 6 months with like Tucker Carlson going there and some people cheering, some people booing, like this rift within that own party. But like Steve Bannon's up there. Steve Bannon's isn't the.
What are you talking about, dude? MAGA's behind Trump 100. It's 100%. It's 100. It's literally 100%. It's like Nazi Germany. They're 100% behind him. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? 100. Nobody's 100% anything. You fucking.
Why are we letting people like Steve Bannon still talk about politics? He's in the Epstein files in 2001, he's trying to essentially make Epstein's image look better. He was trying to refresh his image, and they were having meetings primarily on how could we make Epstein not look like a fucking sex trafficker.
I really like those selfies he had with him in the mirror.
Oh, yeah. And
then on top of that interview where he's like, do you think you're the devil? It's like, why the fuck would he ask him that? Why would he ask him if he thought he was the devil? Like, where would that question even come from? And this was way before anybody even knew who the fuck this guy was.
And there's a video that I want to play because I know I've talked about this a little bit. And this is like, I think a lot of these like talking points that riled conservative ups in these last 4 years, 5 years, 8 years, pretty much since the Me Too movement. And this is also some speculation. I've heard other people talk about this, and this is going to be a quick tangent. But so in 2012, we had Occupy Wall Street, and this was this big movement against all these anti-corporations. It was the first time we've had people from both sides kind of joining together. They actually shut down Wall Street for a day. That's never happened outside of some sort of bombing threat or like wartime stuff. They shut down Wall Street, and then slowly after that, you had the Me Too, Black Lives Matter, transgender. And I personally think like all those things exist within our society, and they did a big psyop to divide our country because we were finally getting on the same page to be like, wait a minute, we're getting fucked here, you know? And then all of a sudden they said like, we need to create something that isn't putting these people together. So let's divide these people. And then Steve Bannon, like with the um his agenda with for change in like attacking single white males, and he talks about this in the Epstein files of like these guys feel persecuted from the Me Too movement and the Black Lives Matter movement, so they're ripe for the picking. When he talks about this, it just makes me think about how all this hatred and rhetoric has started, and then all that does is get the left to go batshit crazy and start putting fucking vulva hats on, and you know, like it's just this big pendulum that swings, and this all happened around that same time. And this is a guy kind of talking about big tech and how they're radicalizing groups of people.
Men are called NEETs or not in education. 1 in 7 men are called NEETs or not in education, they're not in employed, and they're not in training. Effectively, you have the deepest pocketed companies in the world that represent 40% of the S&P who have one mission, and that is to sequester you from your family. And the way they do that is we used to think sex sells. We figured out there's something that sells better than sex, and that's rage. So you have a group of young men whose prefrontal cortex doesn't catch up to a woman until it's 25, is looking for that immediate dopa. And they think, I can have a reasonable facsimile of life online. Why go through the pecking order of having friends when I have Discord and Reddit? Why go through the BS of putting on a tie and navigating the corporate world when I can trade stocks or crypto on Coinbase or on Robinhood? And why would I go through the humiliation, the expense, the rejection, the perseverance of trying to establish a romantic relationship when I have life like porn? Big tech is not our friend. The bottom line is they are doing everything they can to sequester you from the most meaningful and important thing in your life, and that is relationships.
It makes me think, because like everything around 2012 got weaponized, and then you've had these factions of people who are, you know, super into the Me Too thing, super into the Black Lives Matter thing, or against it or for it, and then the transgender thing, and it hasn't stopped. And since then,
Yep.
we haven't had voting there's been talks about economy and anti-war stuff, but that's been the big talk about it, especially in conversation amongst friends. Those are always the topics that are talked about. Like, oh, do you hear the shit that they're doing at school? Those motherfuckers are trying to get our, you know, or vice versa, you know? And like, and I think it was intentional. I think it was super intentional, and the Epstein files like talk about it, you know? And that's the thing
Yep.
where like they are trying to fucking divide us, people.
Dude, that's what we talk about, man. There's a big difference between the macro and the micro. You know what I mean? The macro level is the big encompassing geopolitics, international relations, trade, economics, the umbrella, you know? And then on the micro, you have like federalism, states' rights, you know, local politics, you know, your school board, your local mayor. That's the micro level. And we fight perpetually about micro issues with intention. And it's a part of the fabric of our governance. Like our governing officials, and if you really pay attention, it's easy to see it. It's easy to listen to it and hear it. Even recently, what Mike Johnson was talking about. Oh crap. Oh, it was the what's that bill that we're just trying to pass? Not the big beautiful bill. The
Save Act.
yeah, the SAVE Act. And it's the same old, it's like Democrats, the Democrats killed this because of this and the Democrats. And it's just like, dude, I'm beyond all that shit, man.
Yeah,
Like
we
this
don't get
pointing a finger and blaming a Democrat for a problem because they're a Democrat. Like, I have more respect for Ro Khanna as a Democrat than I do Mike Johnson or
yeah,
Tom Cotton
100%.
or fucking basically almost every other Republican that isn't Thomas Massey, Rand Paul, maybe, Nancy Mace and like Boebert, who's kind of coming around. But it's like, other than that, man, like I got way more respect for Ro Khanna. Even I don't have to agree with fucking everything he says. That's another thing. Like, you're not required to goddamn agree with everything somebody says to support them a little bit, and like what the overall good could be. I don't agree with everything Ro Khanna says. I don't. But I'll tell you what, I would rather have like a Ro Khanna Thomas Massey ticket than a goddamn Marco Rubio fucking JD Vance ticket.
Right.
You know what I'm
Or like
saying?
a Gavin Newsom fucking
AOC.
Booker ticket or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
Exactly.
I
It's
agree.
like I would rather have like cross party lines. Fuck, man, it'd be so cool if they could work out something like that. And it's like,
Yeah.
I don't, I definitely don't think that's going to happen. But like personally for me, yeah, I would 100% support Thomas Massey, Ro Khanna, and I don't even give a shit which one's president and which one's vice president, to tell you the truth. Like, that wouldn't change it. And if I had to choose between them and Marco Rubio or JD Vance at this point, I mean, I'll take Ro Khanna and Thomas Massey 8 days a week. You know what I'm saying?
Yep, I'm 100%. And then when it comes to like the tech stuff in AI, like JD Vance is hot for trot for all that stuff, So I would be much more prone to that. And the thing what sucks is those people get eaten alive by their own party, because they think differently,
Yep.
like and when somebody stands on their principles regardless of affiliation, like that's even if I disagree with you, I respect the shit out of you because you're standing on your principles. And if you weren't about the Iraq war or the Iran war and you say like no, or if you're get out of here. My dog is getting attacked by my cat right now. Go.
That's
Go.
because your cat doesn't recognize you, man. Your mustache is gone, your beard's gone, your manhood in general has been just taken away from you, dude.
It'll be back. It'll be back. I'll probably
that
go
cat's
really weird
looking
and
at you
just
like, I feel like I need to attack you right now. I feel like
Right.
I don't fucking know who this intruder is in my house.
Like, what the fuck? I think what happens in these next 2 years is going to be really interesting when we're talking about politics. Is the pendulum going to swing super right or super left now, or do we kind of realize as a whole that it doesn't, and we put some restraints on what politicians could actually do? I mean, and that's the biggest thing is like what happens in this next 2 years. And as a society, let's not let the politicians fucking divide us again. Like, respect your neighbor if he's fucking brown, has a fucking Trump flag or a transgender flag. Like, who fucking cares if they're nice
Or just
to
talk
you?
to people.
Yeah,
Like, what I really, really got out of that whole like Charlie Kirk thing when I went out after he was, murdered, and I went and did like the Charlie Kirk thing in front of the courthouse here where I live, sat there on a table with a sign, that said, "What words aren't violence, violence is violence, prove me wrong." And I just wanted to engage some people in conversation, just a fucking conversation. And I had a lot of lefties show up, man, that were like hot when they would first show up. And then they would like realize that I kind of like agreed with them on a decent amount of stuff. And it was like, okay for us to have a conversation and not yell at each other, like on the street corner. It's like, have some conversations with people, man. Like, put yourself out there a little bit. Like, if it matters, if it means that much to you, ask some questions. Like, have some dialogue. Like, talk to some people. Like, you can actually have some really, dude. I had conversations with people I would have never met, would have never known, that I know now really, really well, that I actually still keep in touch with, just because of that. And like, if we wouldn't have done that, like they would have considered me like a political enemy. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because they didn't really know who the fuck I was and what I represented on an individual level,
Right.
you know?
Well,
And I think, man, we need to do that. Like I said, the United States was built on the battlefield of ideas, the battlefield of ideas. That's why the First Amendment is the First Amendment. That's why the freedom of speech is what it is. That's why the freedom of the press is supposed to be so important, even though the press is just doesn't seem real free outside of like independent journalism, you know? The separation of church and state so you could be an individual and worship the deity of your choice without having to worry about being caged for it, you know? Independent ideas and outcomes. And it's like, dude,
right.
we should take advantage of that more. It's really cool to talk to people about how they think about things because not only do you have the possibility of changing their mind, but it's just as cool if they change your mind. Like, that's okay.
Or
It's okay if people change your mind a little bit because they maybe have better information or better ideas and something like, "I didn't think about it that way for whatever reason. I didn't grow up that way, or I didn't research it that way, or whatever."
well,
Like, it is really, really good to be able to get alternative opinions and ideas to formulate some kind of a conclusion that may be different than the same conclusion you've had for 25 years of your life or your entire life because your
well,
parents told you that's how it's supposed to be.
and I think too, like you have things like so when laws are created, they're created for somebody who isn't typically for it, right? So when there's a law created to restrict our gun access, that's created by somebody who doesn't like guns. You know, so it's coming from a one side thing. There is no bridge within that community. When there's a law created against a transgender community, that's coming from people who hate transgender people. There is no bridge in that community, you know.
Yep.
And the biggest thing is like how you get to know somebody and how you get perspective on these things is by being able to have the conversation because there's nuance in that stuff, you know. And these big social conversations, you know, like dating for me this last 4 years, I've dated almost every race of women, super hardcore Trumpers to anarchists, like crazy left wingers, you know? And I think like what I've learned from anything is I've gained perspective and I have a much more open mind when it comes to a lot of things. Or maybe I wouldn't even say open, but I realize like I never took the time to talk to these people. I'm a
Yep.
white dude. I was married to a white girl for fucking 13 years. You know, I never dated a black woman. I never had a black person in my house, you know? And then you start doing these things and dating different people, you get different perspectives, and some of them aren't as hard like, "Oh, this person's gonna be really sensitive about this." You would be really fucking surprised of, like, once you listen to these people, but when you have 2 people who look at each other and don't wanna have that conversation just because of appearances, like, it's
Yep.
almost over from the beginning, you know?
Oh yeah. Dude, my wife and I are like an example of that. She was very, very, very lefty, and I was pretty right when we first met. And this is, like 6 years ago or whatever. We had conversations, I mean, for hours, dude, hours about politics. And what ended up happening was is I drifted towards her side and she drifted towards my side because we both made really shitty points and really good points. You know what I mean? And it was like you had to come to grips with that. And the more you researched it and you realized that a good point's a good point, and maybe those outcomes are like more acceptable than what you thought your outcome should be. And it was like it was really cool to see because now we're kind of like firmly in the middle together and we're very, very like-minded, but we still have these conversations like
Right.
daily. You know what I mean? These conversations are still taking place on almost a day-to-day basis with the Trump administration, with the Iran war, with medical stuff, student loan stuff, like, the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, like when it comes to law enforcement, when it comes to the economy. I mean, you name it. We've had when it comes to raising kids, like how you raise kids and the best way to do that. And it's like those conversations, man. I mean, people used to back before, everybody was buried in phones. It's like, dude, entire revolutions were started in a pub. like the American Revolution.
Right.
You know, it's like people sitting around drinking beers, slugging beers, coming up with ideas, exchanging ideas, like talking shit to each other until came to some kind of a conclusion. And then boom, you have the United States of America and other places. I mean, just like, shit, what was it after the, one of the first Liberty documents after John Wycliffe, I can't, I'm drawing a blank on it right now, but it's like all of these ideas. The Magna Carta, it's called the Magna Carta. It's like all these ideas stem from people having conversations, sometimes violently, and
Right.
coming to better conclusions. You know what I mean? Like we're kind of afraid to do that. Like instead of doing that, we just want to silence people. We just want to shut them the fuck up. Like you don't think like me, you don't feel like me. Like Ben Shapiro, all of a sudden, who was like Mr. Free Speech on college campuses. It's like you can't even say the word Israel now without him telling you
Right.
that you're going to get locked in a fucking cage.
Right.
You know? And it's like, dude, it's the battlefield of ideas, homie. Welcome to the battlefield of ideas.
Well,
Welcome.
and America's a fucking weird place. You know, the American flag means a lot of different things to a lot of different people until there's some sort of acceptance of that, you know? And I also like, you see a lot of people now who are like leading the country, and like, it's funny because when a Democrat gets elected, they're like, fuck this country, you know? And then when
Yeah.
a Republican gets in it, and it's like,
Yeah.
one thing I always try to lean into when I'm mad about our country or our government is nothing gets better by you hating it. If you want something to
Yep.
get better, you have to love it. Even if you don't agree with what's happening, that's got to come from a place where you're like, I love this country. I don't agree with this. I don't agree with this. But if you hate this, like it's just going to get worse. And that goes for both people listening to this. When you hate when a Democrat's in office and you hate when a Republican's in office, we're not making anything better. You know, like
Yep.
hate just spreads hate.
Yeah, 100%, buddy. And we're not into that here. We're
Fuck
into
no.
love. And I love you, Joel. Even though you have a bigger elk tooth than me and you look 10 years younger than me with your baby face, I still love you, man.
Dude,
Even though you're in
I've s-
Denver in the big city, I still love you.
I've smoked some nice bucks in my day, but I have honestly yet to kill my own bull elk. So
Oh, no kidding.
I've a lot of cows, some really nice bucks.
I should send you to my brother Ryder he's up in northeastern Washington, and he is a
Oh,
elk killing son of a bitch. He's out there, he shoots archery. He just does it strictly with the bow, Joe Rogan style. I mean, for me, it's like I got a bunch of kids and a family to feed. I just need to put meat on the table. So,
right.
but he's up there, man, and he's got himself a bull with a bow. Fuck, I want to say like 3 or 4 or 5 years in a row. He's been doing really, really well. So I should link you up with him, man. You guys can go out on
Yeah.
he'll get you a bull. I promise. If anybody gets you a bull, Ryder Bricker will get you a bull.
Uh,
He'll fucking
I
do that.
Well, it's kind of funny because I got into archery because I wanted to be challenged. I killed a cow, and it was a real easy kill with my rifle the year before, and I was like, that felt like fucking cheating.
It is
And I was
pretty
like,
easy with a rifle. Yeah, as long
and
as I mean, it's harder in like private ground, super easy, right?
yeah,
Public land, it's a lot more difficult, but
I didn't,
still,
I didn't, I didn't kiss enough ass in South Route, and it doesn't help that my parents are liberal. I don't have any. I'm a national forest
definitely
boy,
in
man.
South Route.
I don't have a. I don't have anywhere to hunt besides national forest on South Route, so
Me
that's
too, buddy. It's a lot of hiking, man, a lot of humping, a lot of miles. I had the boys
yeah.
last year, man, and like all 3 of my boys, we fucking they were that was the like they I just crushed their little nuts. Hiking up
I
there, getting up into there into the elk up in the elk country, man. They were so smoked by the time we got and we hiked it like every day. And it's amazing to me that they still love hunting and they still want to talk about hunting because Christ, man, like it's for those of you out there that may not know, like hunting public lands, you better be in fucking shape. You better be ready to go in the Rocky
the
Mountains because it's no goddamn joke.
the
So
last few years I've called it hiking. No, last year I almost smoked a elk, but I had 1 year. I like track most of my stuff. I had 1 year I did 120 miles in September.
on my feet looking for
Yeah,
help.
dude. That's serious. That's no joke, man. And then you could do 120 miles and not get fucking anything. Like,
Yeah, I didn't.
completely be empty-handed. You might not even see anything.
Yeah.
I mean,
No,
especially if it's one of those, like, late winters where you're walking on potato chips out there and it's, like, 3rd, 4th rifle in October, and you're like,
Crispy.
"Fuck, dude, I can't."
No.
It's so loud. Anyway, man.
Oh,
Anyway, man, I
sweet.
love you, dude.
Love you, brother.